What's up, dudes? Max here, back with another breakdown of possibly one of the most anticipated characters from Mortal Kombat X, TRIBORG, and the return of Sector, Cyrax, and Smoke. And it's kind of interesting now because it's technically Quadborg, because there's a fourth variation, which is Cyber Sub-Zero, that they teased in the end. We'll talk about that one a little bit later. Let me quickly go over my impressions of the three variations, the three initial variations, and then we'll go from there. First up is the classic red dude, Sector, and Sector in previous games has kind of been a little bit more focused around zoning because of the missile projectiles, and those are indeed coming back. He's got a missile projectile that is regular and tracking. He's got one that goes up in the sky and launches 3 down, which is really damn good for breaking armor, and he's also got a regular horizontal one that travels across the screen, and damn, that thing is really freaking quick. These characters look absolutely great, by the way. Can I just say that? Like, the way they're animating and the way they're moving and transforming and moving in and turning into stuff is really damn cool. Although the fatality, the giant cube one, is very funny, but we haven't seen the second one yet. I'm not a huge fan of that fatality. I think it's kind of funny that they transform into a giant freaking trash compactor. But Sector does look interesting as much as he is damaging, and he's a little bit more damaging than Cyrax because the game plan for these two characters is very similar to what they were in Mortal Kombat 9. Sector's going to get a lot of damage and good setups after the combo where he can, very similar to Tremor, kind of like how he launches rocks into the air at the end of a combo where you prevent a little bit of damage. You like don't do your ender to do a setup after. He's got that with the rockets, and we're seeing a lot of demonstrations of that from the two players at the show. Outside of that, Cyrax has something kind of similar. They were trying to go for an MK9 with the bomb setups, but his bomb that regularly goes on the ground at different distances was unblockable in MK9 and set up for some ridiculous stuff way back in the day. That is now a low attack, meaning that instead of crazy unblockable damage from an insane situation in MK9 leads to a hard to block situation in MKX, so it's a little bit more fair. They do have some very cool looking enders, and a lot of their animations are different between all three variations, but they also said that many combos and strings are going to be identical throughout the three characters, so the big changes are going to be their special moves, and some small variations to how some enders look. For example, one will end with fire, another one will end with smoke if it's smoke, etc., etc. Now, I think Cyrax looks like he probably has the most potential because of the really hard to block situations, but Smoke also looks potentially the most fun to play because he's preserving a lot of what he had in older games, like turning invisible, as well as the smoke bombs, as well as the teleport. He does look really damn cool, and I think between the three we can all kind of unanimously agree that, yeah, Smoke looks freaking awesome when he's doing his stuff, especially in Cyber Smoke. It's kind of a dream that these characters will get a classic skin of some kind. I doubt it's going to happen because many other DLC characters have not received costumes as of yet, so who knows on that end. The biggest one that came at the end was the reveal of Cyber Sub-Zero, and they didn't really show off much. Most likely this is going to be the variation-less version. There is a way you can actually select a variation-less version of characters in MKX, and this is a small little Easter egg that Cyber Sub-Zero is making a return. You can also notice that they showed off his move list very briefly, and he has to like call or summon some kind of orb in the air to give him power or ability. He's still able to do many freezing moves that a la classic Cyber Sub-Zero could do, but now it seems that there's going to be a little bit more technical limitations to it. He does have a dive kick, there is a lot of stuff returning. It is kind of interesting. I'm not super amped about Cyber Sub-Zero like many would be. I'm actually more excited to play like Sector, Cyrax, and Smoke, but we'll see how it turns out. The next thing I really wanted to find out was the damn release date for these characters, because if there's something similar happening to Combat Pack 1, we're going to get each character kind of individually leading up into the eventual like Mortal Kombat XL release where all the characters are involved. At least that's what we think, but there is actually no concrete release information as far as when TRIBORG is going to be launched, and we only have when MKXL is going to become available, which is going to be in the beginning of March. Now, the crazy thing is that either they're going to have all 4 characters launching at one point, or they're going to kind of segment release them on March 1st, which would be a little weird. Like, those things all say that you get access to these 4 characters on that day. Most likely all 4 of them are going to come at the same time, which we were talking about before could include the netcode and a whole bunch of balance changes and a huge overhaul to Mortal Kombat X's engine. That new thing that's now taking stamina gauge from both players when you do a breaker. There's most likely going to be a huge breakdown coming very soon of the big changes. But overall, this character looks absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. I wish they had more kind of throwback to awesome, really cool characters. Like Noob Saibot would be the next biggest hope for me, but we don't know if there's going to be any future DLC beyond this, because usually when these games come to their ultimate versions, their, Game of the Year versions that have all the DLC and everything included on them, that's kind of the end of it. That's the end of development for the game, and anything else would be small tweaks and adjustments, but most likely big additions of content won't be happening, as they're most likely working on their next big game, which is an Injustice 2. Either way, we don't have confirmation of that right now, but MKX has been extremely successful, more successful than Injustice and MK9, so I do hope we see future and continued support for the game, because it has a much bigger competitive presence that the WB guys are definitely trying to push on ESL and everything like that in comparison to previous games as well. So I hope MKX has a big and bright future, because my god, man, I've had a chance to play the newest netcode, the latest released one of the new patch with new characters, and it's amazing. I'm able to do really hard Takeda combos online with zero issues. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, the stuff that I always found super difficult and maybe not want to play Ronin Takeda, not even a problem now, because they're offline combos. It's ridiculous. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait for the future of Mortal Kombat X. TRIBORG's going to come out, and hopefully with him, we'll get some new sweet-ass netcode to mess around with these characters. As always, dudes, thank you a ton for watching. Thank you for hanging out. I'll be back with more MKX news, breakdowns, and gameplay as soon as possible. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.